as well as how to get involved.
And please visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel. If you subscribe, you can get advanced notifications of performances. We are a fast-growing community, and we'd love to have you join us.
The Voice in the Pen is a songwriters cooperative focused on promoting and assisting original songwriters with technology, technique, and platforms for performing.
That's right. Besides the weekly live stream on Wednesday evenings from 7 to 10, we also host educational and informational events to help performers understand the technology and techniques for better performances.
And if you're not a performer, you can still help support the Voice in the Pen in a number of ways. We can always use volunteers to help set up events, street crew to get the word out, and we always appreciate your marketing and advertising and sponsorship dollars.
We can use financial support to pay for projects such as our local music CD collection and artist honorariums.
And if you're a small business owner or a corporate representative interested in supporting original music and area songwriters, please reach out through any of our social media profiles or on our website at voiceinthepen.com. We can help you get your message out to a community of people known for supporting local businesses and the businesses that support local artists.
We'll be streaming some great music again in a few minutes.
In the meantime, please thank our sponsors for their support. It doesn't cost a dime to give them a call or a shout out on social media, and it lets them know that their support is deeply appreciated.
Thanks for tuning in, and have a musical day.
We need judges who serve we the people, not self-interested career politicians. This is Jenny Stadding, wife of Judge Michael Stadding, your conservative candidate for North Carolina Court of Appeals. Michael is a former prosecutor, sitting Republican judge, and a reservist in the United States Air Force. Michael is a lifelong public servant. That is why I'm asking you to remember to vote for Judge Michael Stadding, your conservative candidate for North Carolina Court of Appeals. Paid for by the committee to elect Michael Stadding. Michael Stadding is a reservist for the United States Air Force. Use of job title does not imply endorsement by the Department of Air Force or the Department of Defense.
Well, I never felt more like singing a blues, 'cause I never thought that I'd ever lose your love, dear. Why did you be this way?
MusicRewind.com presents the Nashville Hitmakers, a collection of 60 songs that helped inspire the Nashville sound movement in the 1950s.
She thinks I still care. Billy, Billy, bye-oh, watch where you go.
Order the Nashville Hitmakers at MusicRewind.com or call 855-798-5556 today and pay only $19.98. Plus, get reduced shipping. Just enter or mention promo code HITS55. Go to MusicRewind.com or call 855-798-5556. Remember HITS55 to save on shipping. This offer is available for a limited time to U.S. residents only and cannot be combined with any other offer.
Hey, I'm Yael Osowski.
And I'm David Clement.
We're the host of Consumer Choice Radio, broadcasting every Saturday at 10 a.m. here on the Big Talker 106.7 FM.
Consumer Choice Radio is a weekly conversation featuring the latest news, interviews, and expert analysis that covers consumer topics from around the world.
ConsumerChoiceRadio.com.
Hey everyone, Ben Hawkins here with Cross Country Mortgage. Rates are still at historic lows, and there has never been a better time to purchase your dream home or refinance your existing. With over 300 loan products including conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, renovation, and jumbo, we are certain we have the right loan product for you and your family. Call me today to be pre-qualified to make the offer on your next dream home. 910-352-3373 or visit my website at lendwithben.com.
The Wilmington Cape Fear Home Builders Association serves as the advocate for the building industry, advancing professionalism and promoting community involvement. We are a positive force for responsible growth while protecting property rights and the privilege of home ownership. 3 out of every 5 jobs is touched in some manner by construction in our region. Growth generates jobs, maintains our property values, and builds and updates our infrastructure. Join us Friday mornings for the Construction Connection with the Wilmington Cape Fear Home Builders Association and the Big Talker FM.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another wonderful week of All Things Brunswick. I'm your host, Dan Romand, along with my lovely co-host. And our third co-host, Bill, is still off on vacation. Oh, we're going to call it that, right? But hopefully we'll be back next week. Yes. We do miss you, Bill. Shout out to you. Hope you're having a somewhat good time. I'm trying to put a nice spin. So we got a really, really good show tonight. For those of you that joined us last week, we were talking about windmills and specifically wind power off our coast. And we had a couple of wonderful guests for that. And tonight we've got 3 gentlemen to discuss the same subject. So I'll turn it over to Mary.
Okay, thank you, Dan. We have our second segment in the topic of wind turbines. Last week, we had Catherine Collins, who is the president of the Southeastern Wind Coalition, and her associate, Carly Lohan. Tonight, I want to welcome Bob Percesepe. No.
Percesepe.
Percesepe.
Close.
I'm going to get this right. He is the incoming president of the Realtors Association. He is also the owner of a small business in Southport. And we welcome you, Bob.
Thank you, Mary.
Also, Kane Faircloth, who is the president of the North Carolina for Hire of Captain Association. He also has a small business. It is a charter business, and he does real estate as well, correct? Welcome, Kane.
Thanks for having us on.
And our third guest is Danny Snyder. And Danny is a resident of Oak Island. Danny has written many things on this issue of wind turbines, so I have asked him to join us this evening. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mary. Our pleasure.
I'll turn this back to Dan to ask the first question.
All right, so before we get into the really hot topic.
Get ready.
I just wanted to mention, did y'all know that Jaws came out 47 years ago yesterday?
I had no idea. I know this.
So
Top Gun was 36 years.
But being that we have a boat captain with us, I got to do it. Can you say the line? We need a bigger boat.
We need a bigger boat.
Oh yeah, we do it all the time. And yesterday we needed a bigger boat.
We needed a bigger boat.
We had quite an experience shark fishing.
So gentlemen, we had the wonderful ladies on last week to discuss the positives about wind power. You guys are here to kind of talk about the opposite side a little bit. Fair enough to say. So I guess the first question I'll ask any one of you, what's your thoughts on wind power in general?
Well, let me start as the, representing the Brunswick County Association of Realtors. We don't really have a pro position or a con position. We're not taking a position. We just believe that realtors have the responsibility of educating the public on some of the incoming issues that are going to arise out of wind power offshore and how it affects property owners' rights. That's what we're all about. Of course, I have opinions about wind power, but I'm speaking specifically to, I guess, really what you would say is just the public awareness of what wind is going to do for our local environment, how it affects coastal North Carolinians.
Can you please, Bob, and I'd like all of you to answer it, can you please give us the largest issues concerning wind power off the coast?
I would say that for me, I would say it would be the really long-term effect of tourism and how it'll affect people that come to visit, and specifically second homeowners or rental property owners. There's people that come from all over the country to visit the beautiful coastline of Brunswick County, and there will be some impact on offshore wind power, even in spite of the fact that the towers are proposed to be moving out a little further off the coastline. But I would have to say the answer for us would be the effect of tourism and the side effect of housing.
In what way will they affect the tourists?
Hey, people save money all year long to spend a week on the beach, and they're probably not going to be too keen about looking off the beach and seeing a wind tower or several again, I'm not here to talk about pro or con, just trying to, encourage a public awareness of where the wind towers are going to affect property owners in North Carolina, specifically in Brunswick County.
Okay, I'm told that we aren't having generation down here. The closest will be in Wilmington. And the other thing I'm told, and I guess we all know that a nautical mile is longer than a land mile. So these wind generators will not show from the shore. Okay. Now, I think, Kane, you as a captain and having a charter business, can you tell us how that would affect your business?
Okay. Can I introduce myself a little more?
Sure.
Absolutely.
I'd like to kind of lay some groundwork of how we got here and how I got to this table today to speak with you guys and be on your show.
And remember, we're only an hour long.
Yeah, no worries.
Wow.
So my name's Captain Kane Faircloth. I'm a 5th generation fisherman from Holden Beach, North Carolina, maybe a little further back. On my mother's side, we've traced our lineage to one of my relatives was the captain of the Job, which was the boat that brought the Lost Colony here.
Awesome.
So I guess you have this very nautical aspect to our family and in our bloodline. I'm a very passionate surfer, and I'm 47 years old. I've been surfing for 45 years. I've won multiple professional tournaments. I traveled the world extensively. I worked in the surf skate snowboard industry for 16 years. So when I sit down and I talk about this subject, I want you guys to understand that I have a very keen knowledge of Brunswick County and our local waters, but also too, I'm very educated on other parts of the world. So I'm not some super conservative Republican, so to say. I would say I probably identify more with the Republican Party, but it's almost like I'm a very liberal, moderate Republican, so to say. I'm like a
center right,
a new school hybrid. Yeah. All right. But being a realtor, I'm part of our RPAC. I believe that you need to participate in the process. Don't complain about things. Do something about it. So I'm part of our Board of Realtors RPAC. I'm sitting in a meeting, and our lobbyist says he wants to talk to us about offshore wind farms and how it could possibly affect the real estate industry here. So Tyler's going through his presentation, and he puts up a slide, and it's a person sitting on the beach in Oak Island, or it could be Ocean Island or Holden Beach, and they're sitting there in a beach chair, and all you can see are these monstrous wind turbines. The landscape, the view shed is completely dominated by that. That day, I almost fell out of my chair. That was a moment in my life when things changed, because nobody had told us about this here in Brunswick County. This was being slipped in the back door. It was pushed under the Obama-Biden administration when they were in, and then now the Biden administration's in again. And as y'all can tell, they're doing a great job, right? The country's in a great place. We're heading towards a recession, maybe. We've got a war in Europe going on. I mean, it's a catastrophe, right? So the same people who are leading us on this catastrophe in our country are the ones leading this offshore wind charge, all right? So I'm the president of the North Carolina For Hire Captains Association. I brought this to the attention of the other captains in the area because nobody knew anything about it. So our group, which has existed since 2019, we're based out of Southport, we started researching this vigorously. So you got to think you got 25 of the best captains in North Carolina based right here in Brunswick County and New Hanover County in Southern North Carolina that are a part of this group. We all start doing our own independent research on it, okay? And we start talking to each other as we're going, and we're having meetings, and we start talking to people around the world. So we get linked up with the North Wales Boatmen's Association in the UK because we're wanting to find out, what does this look like down the road 25 years from now? Right? Not just while it's being built, but 25 years down the road. The guys in the UK, they shed a lot of light on this too also for us. And their advice was fight this with everything you got, because it was detrimental to their fisheries and to their way of life where they're at.
How so?
Yeah.
Like, how was it detrimental?
So we can kind of get into the aspect. Okay, so when they go to build these things, and the area I was talking about before that Tyler showed us was the Wilmington West area. It was going to be 4 miles off our coast. All right, that's really, really close. The governor of South Carolina got that one pushed out. We did a ton of research, and we learned that because he was scared of what it was going to do to tourism in Horry County. because it was like 4 miles off of Brunswick County, and it looks like on the map it actually wraps in a little closer off of Horry County. So then you have the Wilmington East that's being built right now. Okay, let me tell you about the Wilmington East area. It's composed of a place called the Horseshoe Reef, Southwest Tower Bottoms. There's the Navy Wreck was in the area, the Raritan. Think of this as the best fishing grounds that you have off of Brunswick County for recreational and charter fishermen to go to. There's 7 endangered species that live there. The right whale hangs out there. They calf there. So just imagine this live reef system, okay? So basically what they're going to do is they're going to go out there with a lot of equipment, with these massive ships that are being built overseas that are going to stay offshore so they can get around the Jones Act.
Right.
Okay? They're going to really bend the rules on this one, and they're going to pile drive these 900-foot tall monopod wind turbines into the bedrock.
How do you know that they're going to bend the rules?
How they're going to, because they're already bending the rules. They're actually writing the rule book as they're going, and they're passing things with a rubber stamp. The Biden administration is, because how could you go and pile drive something into the bedrock, that process, right, and then lay all these miles of cables and destroy these reefs and this fish habitat for wind energy? And then whenever they did their studies on it, they said it was going to be negligible. It's not going to have any impacts. Any impacts on the marine life. How could that be if you're going to build 120 900-foot tall structures and you're going to blast the reef up because they want to bury those transmission lines 9 to 12 feet below the surface?
Right.
What you guys need to understand is who you had on here before were paid lobbyists for the wind industry. The Southeast Whale Coalition is a paid lobbyist.
Sure.
And when you talk to me and I'm sitting here, you have a Brunswick County resident, 5th generation local fisherman. I'm not getting paid to be here. I care about Brunswick County and the future of our youth here and our way of life.
How far offshore is these fishing grounds?
So the Wilmington West was 4 miles.
Okay.
Okay. And then the Wilmington East is about 17 nautical miles off of Bald Head Island. Will you be able to see it? Yes.
That was going to be a question.
That is my question. Yes.
How far on?
You're going to be able to see it.
Can we see out?
Well, think about the Oak Island Lighthouse or any lighthouse you know in the area. It's like 153 feet tall. We're talking about something that's 900 feet tall.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you're going to be able to see it.
So if you're standing on the beach,
you're going to be able to see it. And when you drive across one of our bridges, you're going to be able to see it real good.
Yeah.
On Bald Head for sure, Dan.
And Bald Head,
well, I'm
yes,
trying to get perspective of, we were talking about tourists, right? A tourist is on the beach.
Absolutely.
They're looking out. Now, they mentioned in the area of 20 miles out last week. 27.
So they're already wrong on that. They'll tell you a lot of misinformation. Okay. When I asked the guy from BOEM today, I just got out of a Southeast Wind Coalition, did a fishery stakeholder meeting, and I was on the Zoom meeting from 12 to 2 today. When I asked the guy from BOEM, the Wilmington West, how far offshore is that? He told me 13 miles. He didn't know. He's the guy who's answering the questions for BOEM. I'm the local person with the local knowledge. I can tell you. You know, you can look at the maps and see where it's at. So there's a lot of misinformation that goes out there from these government employees and from the Southeast Wind Coalition and Offshore Wind from North Carolina.
Misinformed.
Yeah, I've been seeing. I'm with Kane in respect to the first time that we heard about this. Our government affairs director, Kane, had mentioned a man named Tyler Newman. Tyler is the Brunswick County Association of Realtors government affairs director, and he brought this out. And then there was a colleague of his from our North Carolina Association of Realtors that supported it. And when he showed us this sketch, it was actually a full-blown blueprint of the towers. We have to equate the tower that we're going to be seeing with the height of the Bank of America building.
The largest building,
building in the state of North Carolina.
And they're only going to get bigger.
Well, on ground right now,
that.
they're about 550 feet. In the ocean, we've got to give them an additional 300 feet.
That's right. Said about,
for the simple reason that they have that piece underneath them.
Yeah, I've got some statistics, Barry, about the actual construction.
I've got quite a few.
Yeah, and I mean, I did a little bit of homework, and again, speaking from the realtor perspective, we have the concern about when we see projects like this. To the Realtor Association, it has the similarity of a 6-lane interstate highway coming through the village of Southport with off ramps and on ramps, and that's how we look at it, which we turn into a material fact, something that should be disclosed to property owners people that are migrating in. We're in a migratory transitional market where people come from other parts of the country. Certainly, we've got people from every corner of the country that are coming to Brunswick County right now. And these are folks that are seeing nothing when it comes to the offshore wind projects. So my eyebrows just went, over the top of my head when I saw this.
I'm sure. And what happened to me last week is I wanted to make sure that all of these rumors that are flying everywhere were either incorrect or correct. And, the thing is, when you're passionate about something, you don't really want to listen. And I didn't, I wasn't listening. I was going, oh no, the fish, the turtles, da-da-da-da.
But you brought that up is the effects on marine life.
And actually last week, when I listened to Catherine and to Carly, there were some things that I was way off base on.
Yeah.
Well,
way off base.
Let's remember that Kane and Danny and myself, we're just regular people.
Well,
we're
me
just
too.
Brunswick County residents.
Sure.
And I'm not speaking ill of anyone, but you're talking about people that are paid, trained lobbyists. They're expert at public speaking. They've got their skill set in conveying messages is far superior to anything that a little guy like me or Kane or Danny could do. We just don't have that ability. They've got incredibly deep pockets. I'm talking.
We're fighting $1 trillion industry here.
$1 trillion,
I know you are.
right?
Yeah. And actually, it's a done deal. I mean, we're talking about it because I want everybody's opinion. But we have to face the fact that right now with me, okay, I want to know the facts. I do not want to listen to rumors. I do not want to listen to stories that have been inflated, because it's a done deal. I've got to accept it, and I want the facts. I want to know, am I getting upset about this, or this when I shouldn't be? I'd like to hear from Mr. Snipes, if I could, please.
The only thing I've got is it's in intercoastal waterways.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody owns intercoastal. Nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And not but one person. And that's God.
Right.
So not to throw religion in or anything like that, but how can these people go in and put up wind turbines? It just don't make sense how they can do it. Just go out and put 122 of these turbines up and out in the ocean. You let one of those cargo ships come in and hit one of those things, then we're in a lot of trouble.
And think about Sunny Point, the world's largest military depot. Do you think those things are bringing bottle rockets in?
No.
Okay, they are full of some high power stuff, and these things do affect your GPS and your radar. So
really?
that is a material fact. Yes, it is.
How do they do that? Like, do they?
You got to think about how radar operates, and you got this 900-foot tall thing spinning around out there, radar, 120 of them exactly. Yeah. So it affects your GPS and your radar. One thing you guys are going to understand is we've done our research at the Captain's Association, and we've talked to people around the world who have been dealing with this for 25 years. Mm-hmm. So we kind of, like information studies can be manipulated any way you want it to be.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing that's one thing that's really scary about the universities and some of these scientists. There's not a board that regulates them. For the cabinet is regulated by the Coast Guard. You step out of line, they're going to take your license. Bob and I as realtors were regulated by the state. They have a real estate commission. We can go to UNCW, and if we have the money, we can pay them to do any kind of study we want them to do. And I know that for a fact because I'm the president of the Lockwood Inland Association. I have dealt with them when it comes to studies, and I know the cost of what it takes. Financially, you can do that. So one of the things in the meeting that I went to today, the Zoom meeting for the Wind Coalition that they had on there, was they brought up about Block Island. All right. These small ones that are built as a test one up in the Northeast. Okay. So, and they talk about, oh, the fishing's good around Block Island. You know, we're doing these studies, the fishing's good around it. Okay, well, you know what they didn't put in the study? That those things only been working 18% of the time. When we talked to all the charter captains up there, they said it was a huge failure. They don't maintain them. They're never working. So yeah, if you build a structure in the ocean like Yopon Reef or some kind of artificial reef, it can attract fish. But what the guys in the UK taught us, and we also found other research to back it up, was a wind farm, a big wind farm creates dead areas. The vibrations, the building process is detrimental to the environment.
Well,
right.
especially when they're piled.
But then when they're working, they're vibrating. You have electromagnetic currents that's being put off.
They're very loud.
It stirs up the water clarity and changes the currents in the area. So, you know, it changes that area. So what everybody who listens to this, if you're a Brunswick County resident, you need to understand that they're about to go out there and destroy our best fishing ground that we have. That's what they're taking away from us, okay? So what are we getting back? I brought this magazine to share with you guys today.
Can I have a question for you though, Kane, first? Okay, now exactly how do they destroy the fishing there?
Okay.
Because the cables don't interfere with the nets.
We're talking about hook and line fishing.
Okay.
Hook and line fishing, recreational and charter.
Please tell me, because I want to know.
Okay. So, well, when they're building this, I don't know if you've ever seen when they're built.
After they're built.
Okay. So when they're building, so fish do not like heavy vibration. That's why when people are fishing in marlin tournaments or whatnot, and we have a good friend in common, Leon, ask him about electric currents and vibrations when it comes to fish. When people are fishing marlin tournaments, they want those boats humming a certain way and sounding good. If you've got any kind of weird bang going on or whatever, fish don't like that. Also, too, they have a lateral line, and that's like they have an internal GPS. That's how they get around, how they migrate a lot of these species. So you got to think about their lateral lines are going to be affected by the electromagnetic frequencies being put off. You got to think about the vibrations of the turbines. I mean, these things have bearings. They're up there spinning. The tips of the blades are moving 200 miles an hour. So this isn't some gentle thing that you think you're seeing, you know what I mean? And then also it disturbs the water clarity. Fish like pretty water like us. If this room was full of smoke, we wouldn't want to be in here. When you go around these wind turbines, it changes the water clarity. It stirs up silt, you know what I mean? It's a whole process.
How does it do that?
It's from the wind, from changing the wind.
Because the blades are going around.
Absolutely, yeah. They're harvesting the wind. So you're changing what Mother Nature's got going on in that area. And when you talk about Mother Nature, how do you guys feel about us losing our sea breeze? Because it's going to affect our sea breeze. Do you know what it's going to do to our farms inland when we don't get those rain showers in the summertime that are created by the sea breeze? Because of the wind's going to be changed, we're not going to have it. It's a scientific fact that areas located near these wind farms, the temperature goes up. You know, it changes your environment. That's things that nobody really knows and people don't talk about. There's so much information that is being hidden and is not being shared with the public.
You bring up an interesting point, because I was doing some research on it, and they were talking about the effects on hurricanes. That obviously it would have to be a huge farm, but if there was a big enough farm, it could disrupt a hurricane.
The hurricane's going to tear that farm to pieces. Go online.
Well, they said that to be fair to them, they said it would be able to handle up to a Cat 3.
Category 4.
Go
3, 4.
online. Okay,
Category
go online,
4.
and I want you to go on YouTube and look at Hurricane Maria and what it did to their wind farms.
Okay.
And these were on land. I want you to go and search that on YouTube.
How long ago was that?
Hurricane Maria, like 2 years ago, right?
I just
Year
found
and a
it
half, 2 years
curious
ago?
that there was, again,
Shredded
this
to
was on
pieces.
YouTube. They
Totally
were
shredded.
kind of indicating that if there were enough of them out there, and they didn't really give
They
a
could
number,
stop it.
that it could
Bob's
break
dying
up
up here,
a
sorry.
hurricane, which kind of speaks to
Yeah.
how disruptive it could be.
I think they're full of SHIT on that one. I think the hurricane is going to destroy those
Well, they weren't
things.
saying it as a positive. They were saying it as a negative, actually.
Right. But well, I've
person
seen
I was
them in some
watching.
ways saying as a positive, it's going to kind of lessen the weather or whatever. But there's a lot of things we got to
If it
think
can
about.
disrupt a hurricane, like your point, it's going to disrupt airflow in general.
Oh, yeah.
It will
Yeah.
definitely
It's gonna-
create its own wind environment.
Absolutely,
right.
Because they're not going to stop with that one. When you look at around the world, the wind farms as they're built out like a neighborhood. You know what I mean? You can picture these guys like D.R. Horton. They're going to come in and build out that neighborhood. Okay, everybody can kind of relate to that in Brunswick County. And you'll see the map. They start offshore and then they bring them all the way to the beach. The closer
Okay,
they get, the more
whoops.
profitable they are.
We lost our sound.
All right, we're back on.
Okay, on that point, I think we'll break and pay some bills.
There we go.
So we'll be back in just a few.
I'm Trey Allen, conservative candidate for the North Carolina Supreme Court. As a Marine Corps veteran, practicing attorney, professor of law, and father of 5, I want to pass on the precious freedoms that we inherited to the next generation. For that to happen, we need judges who will faithfully apply our Constitution and our laws, not rewrite them to achieve specific outcomes. If you share my commitment to liberty, please vote Trey Allen in 2022. Paid for by Trey Allen for Justice.
My name is Brian Wilson. I'm running for District Court Judge. During my lifetime, I've gone from protecting your God-given and constitutional freedoms as a combat vet of the U.S. military to working locally as a carpenter building homes while I worked my way through college. For the past 17 years, I've been protecting and defending your constitutional rights in the courtroom. I'm currently protecting our rights of our most vulnerable, our children, as the guardian ad litem attorney advocate for the children of Brunswick, Columbus, and Bladen County. I've spent my career serving our country, our state, and our communities, so I ask that you continue your confidence by voting for me, Brian Wilson, in the primary elections on May 17th. Thank you.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you or a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
Paid for by the committee to elect Judge Michael Stadding. As a member of the United States Air Force, I stand for our nation. As a prosecutor, I took a stand against violent criminals. As an attorney for the Fraternal Order of Police, I took a stand for law and order. As a sitting conservative judge, I stand for our Constitution. And as a judge on the Court of Appeals, I will stand up for you. Vote for a battle-tested conservative. Stand with Stadding. Michael Stadding is a reservist for the United States Air Force. Use of his military rank, job titles does not imply endorsement by the Department of the Air Force or the Department of Defense.
Lee Nails, located at 4956 Long Beach Road, Southport, is the place to pamper yourself. Steve and his staff of 5 are trained to do everything. They offer manicures of every kind. Pedicures include the deluxe, the special, the royal, the calming mud mask, and therapeutic wax dip. Other services include skin treatments and waxing. Lee Nails, open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 7, and Sunday, 11 to 5. Appointments and walk-ins welcome. Oh, but wait, they are having a special. Hurry in before June 16th to get 20% off. Lee Nails, 910-457-0837.
This show is also sponsored by Dr. Tony Maglione. Dr. Tony is a cardiologist practicing in Wilmington. He accepts Medicare patients, and his office is located across the street from New Hanover Regional Medical Center at 2032 17th Street. The office number is 202-1071. Dr. Tony is an author whose last book is Rules for Conservative Patriots, and it can be purchased on Amazon. His website is www.drtonymag.com.
All right, welcome back to All Things Brunswick. First half of the show was awesome. We're going to continue on. So, Mary, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Thank you, Dan. I think we'll continue with the questions. I just want to read off some questions here that came to me from citizens, and then you all can answer them if you like. How large are the turbines and the blades? Do the turbines leak oil? Do they increase the water temperature?
Can we do one at a time?
Yes, I'm just gonna read them off, and then you choose one. And okay.
Or can we answer them all real quick?
Will the cables from the turbines interfere with nets, fishing nets? How many birds are killed? What is the life expectancy of the turbine? Go for it.
All right, I'll speak to a few of those things. First of all, the first thing we have to remember is that wind power nationally, and this is kind of a broad statement, but BOEM is representing that this wind farm is going to generate about 7% of the energy that is going to our grid. And you talk about what's the payoff. Yeah, windmills do pay themselves off pretty quickly. But the reality is it's only going to generate about 5.5% to the grid. Now in the Southeast, I have this conversation with my wife who's like in the nuclear industry. And, we have a very unstable grid in our part of the country, and adding this 5.5%, you have to wonder whether it's worthwhile or not. And again, I have to take the position of realtors of just public knowledge. But, you asked the question about the size of the towers. These things are almost 80 stories high. Okay.
And a blade is the size of a football field.
The blade is 330 feet plus or minus.
I am aware.
Right. And here's the most important thing. They take wind to move a windmill blade. It takes wind. And these blades are getting longer and longer and longer. As the technology develops, these blades are getting bigger. And the only way to make lightweight windmill blades is to design them with lightweight carbon reinforced polycarbons, which are of course made of petrochemicals, hardly environmentally friendly. Okay, they say that wind energy is environmentally friendly. Well, there's nothing friendly about polycarbons and petrochemicals that have no known mechanism to recycle or to repurpose.
They're buried.
They're
when they're
buried.
Done with them. They're buried.
Okay, there's no way to repurpose, recycle, or reuse a windmill blade. Okay, you talked about the life expectancy. So Kane kind of touched on it, but here's the very harsh reality of windmill farms. You see these big idyllic farms out in Idaho and Iowa and some of the western states in Nebraska, Texas, Arizona.
Northern Maine.
These are massive wind farms. These windmills actually are not as green as we'd like to think them to be. The average 5 megawatt windmill, just to construct on the ocean floor, just to build it, will take 150 metric tons of reinforced steel and concrete to build the foundation. Then on top of that, there's 250 tons of reinforced concrete to build the rotor hubs. And then beyond that, there's 500 tons to construct the towers themselves. 500 tons of reinforced concrete that are going to affect the ocean floor. I would hardly call that environmentally friendly. By the way, how do you get 500 tons of concrete, let's say 27 miles? How do you get that?
You just stole what I was going to
Sure.
bring up is that's all got to be boated out there.
These things are so dependent on fossil fuels
Right.
for generator systems internally to actually construct them. We're talking about millions and millions of gallons of shipping ships, rail cars to transport this stuff. It's all generating and being generated by fossil fuels. So there's nothing clean about that. Do you want me to talk about lubricants?
Whatever. Just the question.
There's roughly, and again, this is, for, consumers and property owners in Brunswick County. I think this is important to know. There's roughly 700 gallons of oil and hydraulic fluid in one turbine, 700 gallons. And these things need to be changed, every, they say roughly every 9 to 16 months. These fuels, these lubricants have to be changed. We're talking about a massive amount of oil, hydraulic fluid, and lubricants that go into them. So, that is certainly something that has the potential to be an environmental safety issue. Just one minor little spill in, offshore recreational fishing area is a little bit of a concern.
Hey, stop real quick there. Hey, I just want to introduce something that there at Black Island, and he was doing these eco tours out to the Black Island farm. And his quote was, "You should see the look on the tourist's face when we pull up at one of those and they see the oil pouring out of it, leaking into the ocean, and the big sheen it's creating." That's the reality. That's what we're looking
Now-
at. Sorry, Bob. Go ahead.
I am told that regular oil is not used in
Yeah,
the
they said it
turbines.
was water soluble.
And I have
They're working on that.
Yeah, there's a lot
well,
of technology.
I know that they're not where I'm from. Okay, that
Yeah,
oil is an oil that we
yeah,
know.
to just
pure lubricant.
Yeah, just for clarity, I mean they, and to their credit, they they are introducing technologies that are going to have more environmentally friendly oils. That technology is not completed.
Yeah, right now it's still regular.
Right now it's just the
lubricating
same
oil.
stuff.
Everybody needs to understand that.
Yeah, in some areas it is being used.
Yeah. Well, when you start talking about that, all of this stuff is fossil fuel, petrochemicals. They're subject to spills. They're subject to environmental hazards. So, that's a little bit of a concern for, property owners that, live along the coast. These are all things that can
wash up on shore quite
They wash
easily.
up on shore. Hey, the life expectancy of a windmill, 20 years at best.
2 hurricanes at best. Captain Kane Fairclough.
20 years at best.
One big hurricane.
I just want to point out that I am familiar with 33 wind turbines on the top of a mountain that have been there for 33 years with very little maintenance.
That's a phenomenon.
How did people feel about looking at that every day?
They love it because their light bill went down.
Really? Interesting.
You have to remember that.
I can show you pictures after the
Statistically, I'm talking statistically across the country, 75%, I should say usage only is about 75%.
I think that what we have to agree on is that every place is different and every wind farm is different. I'm amazed at the stability that the wind farms in my state have and the good that they have done. But I'm not necessarily say that I don't necessarily say that I agree with them in the water. Okay?
Well, the other thing you got to keep
this
about with
is
that-
land.
Yeah,
These
you're
are
talking
land
so
farms.
being on the ocean, salt air, winds,
Right.
currents,
And that's why I'm so
yeah,
interested
quite
in you guys telling me what you know about them being in the ocean.
You're still going?
Well, I just want to say, I'm certainly I am not an expert on this topic.
Oh, nor am I.
I am a realtor and I'm a small business owner. And, I kind of look at this from the perspective that a real estate professional would. This is, to me, no different than that interstate highway that's being built in your community and a property owner saying, my gosh, where did that thing come from? I didn't hear a word about it. Or even worse, how about the person that comes here and moves here from a market outside of our market in Brunswick County and discovers, after they spend a sizable amount of their budget purchasing a home in Brunswick County and discovering that interstate highway is running right past their kitchen window? These are material facts.
I totally agree, Bob.
I'm not sure that the public in Brunswick County is aware of what this wind farm, good or bad, whether it's going to be something that helps the environment, whether it's going to be something that encourages economic resources that are going to be good for the county. I mean, I'm not speaking to that. I'm just speaking about the public awareness and the knowledge of what's happening in the community and how it affects property owners. And that's what really concerns me.
Well, I think that the big issue too is how it was brought about. Okay, very unfair to all of us. It just came. It was a done deal.
Before most people even knew about it.
We had no opinions.
Or I know about it.
We had no say, and here it was.
I do have a question that I'd like to ask about navigation. So obviously Wilmington's a fairly decent sized port. The bigger ships coming in, are they going to have to route differently to get around it? I have no idea, but somebody asked me that or brought it up and I went, that's a good question. I will ask.
That's a really good question. So with the area, that was one thing that was considered whenever they did propose the lease area. So it is not in the shipping channel.
Okay, so
but it
won't affect
is
that.
really close to it. So just picture if it's a
okay.
bad storm,
told
and these
you that.
ships, they're out there working through all weather. So if you have a bad storm, you need to realize that there's a real possibility that whether it's a fishing vessel or one of these vessels loaded with nuclear weapons going to Sunny Point, that it could be caught in a bad storm. They're going to have problems with their radar. They're going to have problems with their GPS, and they could end up in a collision in that.
And that
farm.
was the way it was put
Yeah.
to me, was a tanker, because we had tankers
A
that come
tanker.
in.
You can have a tanker. You have an oil
Yeah.
tanker, because you got to think about these. This farm is right beside the shipping channel,
Okay.
right beside it. So turbine fire. Yes. So that's something that needs to be talked about and needs to be thought about, and that's something that was kind of overlooked. Whenever I talk to a lot of our local elected officials, this is really sad, and I really hate this for our county. Okay. When I talk to a lot of our county commissioners about it, or our local mayors, you know what they told me? This was probably, they started telling me this about 4 or 5 months ago when we really started digging in. They said the federal government doesn't care what we think. They won't even communicate with us about it.
Well,
You guys know
apparently-
Brunswick County passed a resolution to keep them 24 nautical miles offshore, right? You know what I mean? So, and some of our beach towns have too. But it was really sad to me when I talked to some of our county commissioners and our mayors, and these are people who have given their heart and soul to our
Yes.
area, to Brunswick County, and they
Yes.
said they don't care about us.
Right.
The federal government's going to do what they want to do. That's what their words were. They felt hopeless.
That's exactly my point. We were not given a choice.
Yeah. At the Captains Association, we voted unanimously to oppose this, and we're fighting this. It's David versus Goliath. You've got a local group of captains here in Brunswick County and people like Danny and Bob that are
Right.
speaking up and saying something. And we're trying to raise awareness to get people to do their own research and learn about it. Because if the people stand up, we can change this. We can buck this. The Biden administration's pushing it. It can be political or it can not be political. I know for a fact President Trump was against it. That's why he that's why he put in the moratorium. And that's why they were rushing to get these leases done, this rubber stamp on this environmental process, because the moratorium went in effect. Now it's going to take a congressional vote to change that. But you have people like different congressmen, name one in our area, who pushes it. He's for it. When I look at this magazine right here, Coastal Living, my mother-in-law dropped off our house the other day. It says America's Best Beaches, Summer 2020.
I don't agree with you on that. I'm sorry.
Holden Beach is was right, Coastal Living right here, Holden Beach.
I know.
One of the best beaches in
Our
America.
congressman is for alternative energy.
That's
and
right.
that does not necessarily mean wind turbines.
He has,
People have taken what he said
You can read his
and
quotes
put it
in
in
the
their
media.
own.
I've seen his quote
I have
in the
read
media.
it also.
I've
I'm
seen his
sorry.
quotes in the media. I talk to Chance all the time about it. His representative for Brunswick County. We talk about it. And these guys are not standing up for us. He's not. You know what I mean? And I don't know what his play is. I don't know if he's, sees a bigger picture that we don't see, that's the way we're going. But it's sad that we have one of the best beaches in America, and King Faircloth and Bob and Danny are the ones standing up for it. And we don't have anybody on the federal level backing us with this.
Okay,
Yeah,
we need
that's-
to.
If I could say one thing,
That's
I
really,
think,
really
Mary,
sad.
that it really saddened me. When I first heard of this and got wind of this at a Brunswick County Association Board of Directors meeting, and actually it was a legislative policy meeting, which is a committee that I sit on. This news came to me about this windmill farm proposition, and the only thing, because this was already a quote done deal, the only thing that the Brunswick County Association of Realtors could do, the only thing that they could really take a stand on, was creating a resolution that requested that the towers be moved 24 nautical miles offshore. Of course, they wanted them much closer because historically we've found out that they don't grow these farms out into the ocean. They grow them in. So it was really saddening to me as a real estate professional to find out the only position that we could take was to say, well, it's a done deal, but we've got to have some input on how far they will go with the creation of these farms. That really saddened me.
Right.
As a
Well,
professional.
I do know for a fact that Congressman Rouser did help with the view shed. He ensured the view shed would be further out. But he did not state that it was a specific thing. He was for alternative energy, and he did not directly say wind turbines.
I want to give Danny a chance to talk.
Yes.
All of us have been talking.
We
This
have,
poor
yeah.
gentleman sitting
I'm just
there.
enjoying it.
I know you are. So let me, you've written several articles about this from what I understand. What are your thoughts on just in general?
In general,
And then
against
take it from there.
I'm against it. Now they said that it would be 723 full-time jobs. You can't even get enough people to work restaurants right now. So I mean,
very good point.
You know, I don't know what kind of pay it is, but all these restaurants have gone to $15, $19 an hour. I doubt they're going any higher than that. I don't know.
Right.
But they're going to have this many people, and they can't even get enough people to work a restaurant and open them up. So I kind of got into this thing. I'm against it. For the simple fact of not so much as the height, but the oil that's being put into it. One of those ships hit it and destroys it. The biological or the living part, the fish and all is going to get killed. If you want to say I'm a tree hugger, to a point, I guess I'm not out there hugging on a wind turbine either. But these wind blades that when they tear up, it's been proven, they just got to bury a hole and put them in there. Look like there'd be a way that you'd be, dispose of them better than just piling them up in a big old hole and covering dirt. Because probably not for us, our grandkids and further
Right.
down the road, it's going to be here for them.
They will never go away. I'm very familiar with landfills. There's no oxygen getting in, so they're never going to deteriorate. They will be there 100,000 years from now.
I read your statement that you wrote, Mr. Snipes. It was very good, very
Thank
well written. And that is why I asked you to come on this evening. You certainly did your homework. And we really value that fact and the fact that, you take position with this. So
Thanks for having me.
Dan, did you have another question?
I have a ton of questions.
Okay.
How much time we got? All right. So
more hours.
I know I keep circling back to navigation and stuff because it's been brought up to me by several people who watched last week's show. That was one of their big concerns. And the ladies that were in last week were talking about how the Coast Guard, let me say that one 3 times, basically is signing off on this. But you're talking about it's adjacent to the shipping channels. It's going to affect the fishing charters going through there and all that. Have you had any discussions with the Coast Guard about this? What are they saying? Because I would be curious to what the local Coast Guard commander or whatever that you want to call it, where are they at with it?
So I haven't spoken to the local commander, but I've spoken to other members from Coast Guard Station Oak Island. They are government employees, so
They got to be careful.
They can't really take a position on it.
Right.
But in the Zoom meeting I was in earlier today, this conversation came up, and the conversation about radar came up. And the Coast Guard representative that was on the call, he did acknowledge that it does affect radar. And his point was the person whose boat it is needs to make sure that he said, you can tune in your radar to make it where it semi-works there in that area. He said the people in the UK are doing that. Anybody who owns a boat and understands the gain and different frequencies of radar, you can change it, you can tweak it some. But I will assure you, if you're in the middle of a major storm and you're getting blown into that wind farm, the last thing you're going to be trying to do is play with your radar. You know what I mean? And try to get the game up and down and get it to
Try
work.
not to
or
sink,
whatnot.
right?
Yeah. You know what I mean? So there's issues there, you know, and that's something that we're going to be facing, you know, wherever they put them at, we're going to be facing. I don't care if you're for them, if you're against them, but if you're a North Carolina resident, and especially Southeastern North Carolina, please just read and learn about it and try to look at it from different angles and educate yourself on it, because it's something that's going to affect us all for a long term, and it's going to cost us. It's subsidized. Right. So taxpayers are going to have to pay for it. You know, the latest study that I saw was North Carolina ratepayers. It's going to cost you about $800 a year. You know, your bill's going to go up in conjunction with this if this is the power we're getting, you know. And there's a lot of people that are on fixed incomes or that live check to check, day to day, you know, and it's not going to be cheap.
Especially in this economy.
It's not a cheap thing. And we're very blessed to live in Brunswick County. Man, I mean, everybody wants to move here. Coastal living, Holden Beach. Wow, that's a big deal for the state of North Carolina. Yeah. And we have a lot to risk here and hardly anything to gain, you know.
Well, that's one of the things that I'm trying to figure out. Like you mentioned, your wife's in nuclear. And I intend to ask this question, which is, why not nuclear over the wind? Right. You get.
We ask that question every day.
Yes,
everybody. I could go on. I could go on about that topic for hours.
You got 2 minutes.
Yeah. 2 minutes. We could go on about that topic. You know, especially when you talk about environmentally clean sources of energy, and certainly, despite what we hear, wind energy is far from being clean. Okay, it's been proven over and over and over that it's dirty energy, and it's really not as efficient as we'd like to think it is. But, you know, I have to keep going back to, you know, property owners. That's my big thing. How does this affect property owners? I think that one thing we all know is that no one ever that fights for big business wind engineering, unless they have, the only reason they would fight for big business wind engineering was if there was a financial interest in it.
Somebody's making money.
Somebody's making money, and we don't have to look too far to find out. If you go on the governor's task force, the wind tower task force, it's amazing to me about the big business that's behind this, and the politicians that are behind it, and the lobbyists that behind it. So little old Bob Percesepe is not going to have very much of a voice here, but I believe that North Carolina property owners should have the free right and privilege to educate themselves from both sides.
Absolutely.
Whether they're pro-wind or anti-wind, they have the right to be educated. And I would encourage the listeners to get up at some level with your elected official, whether it's your county commissioner that's in your district, whether it's in your municipal mayor of your town, whether it's our North Carolina assemblyman or your congressman. It doesn't matter. I would say get up, even if it's just to voice your opinion.
Right.
Without education, man has no chance of learning what the best thing for it is.
And on that note, I'm so sorry, but we must go pay some bills. We will be back in just a sec. Thank you.
We need judges who serve we the people, not self-interested career politicians. This is Jenny Stadding, wife of Judge Michael Stadding, your conservative candidate for North Carolina Court of Appeals. Michael is a former prosecutor, sitting Republican judge, and a reservist in the United States Air Force. Michael is a lifelong public servant. That is why I'm asking you to remember to vote for Judge Michael Stadding, your conservative candidate for North Carolina Court of Appeals. Paid for by the committee to elect Michael Stadding. Michael Stadding is a reservist for the United States Air Force. Use of job title does not imply endorsement by the Department of Air Force or the Department of Defense.
My name is Brian Wilson. I'm running for District Court Judge. During my lifetime, I've gone from protecting your God-given and constitutional freedoms as a combat vet of the U.S. military to working locally as a carpenter building homes while I worked my way through college. For the past 17 years, I've been protecting and defending your constitutional rights in the courtroom. I'm currently protecting our rights of our most vulnerable, our children, as the guardian ad litem attorney advocate for the children of Brunswick, Columbus, and Bladen County. I've spent my career serving our country, our state, and our communities, so I ask that you continue your confidence by voting for me, Brian Wilson, in the primary elections on May 17th. Thank you.
This show is also sponsored by Dr. Tony Maglione. Dr. Tony is a cardiologist practicing in Wilmington. He accepts Medicare patients, and his office is located across the street from New Hanover Regional Medical Center at 2032 17th Street. The office number is 202-1071. Dr. Tony is an author whose last book is Rules for Conservative Patriots, and it can be purchased on Amazon. His website is www.drtonymag.com.
Our founders expected judges to apply, not make, our laws. I'm Trey Allen, conservative candidate for the North Carolina Supreme Court. More than 20 years ago, I began my legal career by joining the Marine Corps and taking an oath to support and defend the United States Constitution. As a justice on our state Supreme Court, I will continue to protect the Constitution by basing my rulings on the founders' intent, not my personal views. Paid for by Trey Allen for Justice.
Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, located at 8210 River Road, Southport, is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with the Tackle Box open Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6. Marine Service Pro is a full Suzuki and Tohatsu dealership. They deal in pre-owned boats, full service and repair, with certified technicians in all engines, and fiberglass specialists. The Tackle Box offers fresh local seafood, live bait, a tackle shop, and fish packing and shipping. They also offer a full-service U-Haul dealership. Spend time with Leon or Jenny for one-stop shopping at Marine Service Pro and the Tackle Box Seafood, 8210 River Road, Southport.
Veteran Awareness sponsored by You Are Not Alone. Today's veteran homeless rate is approximately 19,750, and the numbers are declining because of the various veteran programs. If you or a veteran you know is homeless, please call 877-4AID-VET. This is a confidential and toll-free call. From this veteran to other veterans, please be there to help our brother and sister veterans. Again, the number is 1-877-424-3838. And thank you for your service.
All righty, we are back to close things down. I cannot believe how fast this hour went by. I think it's the fastest I've felt.
Absolutely. I want to thank our guests this evening, Bob, Kane, and Danny. We will be having them back next week, folks, so please tune back in. We will have Miss Collins and our guests, and I cannot thank you enough. Lots of information. Thanks, guys. Come back, folks, to All Things Brunswick next week, same time,
same bat time, same bat channel. Everyone, you have an awesome week. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you give us a like and share if you're watching it on YouTube or Facebook. Check it out on the Big Talker Network. Don't forget to download the app so you can listen to it anywhere in the world. On that note, we will see y'all next week.
Good night. Thank you.
Bringing you the best local talk radio shows, Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7 FM, WFBT, Carolina Beach.
Our founders expected judges to apply, not make, our laws. I'm Trey